Hello, everyone. I am Lisa Wozniak with Woz Marketing, and we are honored today to have a very special guest with us. We have Deb Legge. Deb Legge is an internationally known as the private practice mentor. She has over 22 years of experience where she's taught thousands of therapists how to build a thriving practice using some proven strategies that she actually uses to attract more private pay clients. She recently released a new free online training called The Essentials of Private Pay, Simple Proven Strategies to Bring You More Private Pay Clients. And she is a very good friend of mine and of Paul McManus of the More Clients, More Fun program. And you can access this new training that Deb is offering absolutely free for a limited time by visiting www.rapid-referrals.com/privatepay. And we'll get into that a little bit more. But first, I'd like to go ahead and welcome Deb Legge. Welcome.
Oh, hi. Thank you so much for inviting me. This is great. I'm so happy to be here with you today, Lisa.
Oh, it's absolutely our honor. So we want to be able to pick your brain as much as humanly possible in the time we have allotted. So if it's okay with you, we're just going to go ahead and dive right in.
Sounds good.
Okay, so let's just kind of do a little bit of a backup. We talked about your bio just a little bit, but you've been in private practice for over 20 years now. So what inspired you, Deb, to go into this field?
I can think back to as far back as right around 16 years old when I was really interested in psychology and the brain and how the brain works and why people do what they do. And so it's always been interesting to me. As the years went on, it kind of evolved into really wanting to understand more about people's behavior and what they need, and actually then instead of studying the brain, actually working with people to help them through counseling. So it's really the thing that I wanted to do forever, but because of life circumstances, it actually became a second career for me. But it's something I've always wanted to do.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. It's so great to be able to follow your life's passion.
Yeah.
So what surprised you the most about being in private practice?
When I first started out in this profession, I had no choice but to go into private practice immediately. I didn't work for an agency or anybody else. At that time, I was a single mom. I had a mortgage. I had all the realities that wouldn't allow me an entry-level position in an agency. So going into my master's program, I knew that private practice was my only option. I also couldn't leave Buffalo to study, so I had to choose my program based on location as well. So my master's degree is in rehabilitation counseling, and my focus was in psychiatry. And at that time in New York State, counselors weren't licensed. And because we weren't a licensed profession, we were not able to be on insurance panels. So as a rehab counselor, I was going out into private practice, which was rare. There were very, very few rehab counselors in private practice to begin with. No counselors were able to take insurance, and I knew that I needed to have a private pay private practice right from the start. So that's how it all started out. So when I first was able to do this, what really surprised me was that virtually everybody else around me, the psychiatric nurses, the psychologists, the psychiatrists, they were all insurance-based practices. They relied and they really built their businesses and their lives around what the insurance companies told them they could and couldn't do. So they were really tied and tethered to insurance companies and managed care organizations and Medicaid and Medicare. And so that was a real surprise to me, because before I became a counselor, I said that was my second profession. I was a salesperson before. I worked for International Harvester and I sold trucks. And as a salesperson, I was essentially in business for myself. And that was I was very independent. I could call all the shots. So what really surprised me about the mental health industry was the fact that here are these people who are all self-employed, but they're essentially just trading an employer and benefits for bosses that don't really do much for them, because they're dependent on insurance companies for clients and regulations and rules, and even about how much they could make and when they would be paid or if they would be paid. So that was a huge surprise for me.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I can imagine it would be. And how fortunate that you had a bit of a background in sales to help with that.
Yeah.
So in your experience, given the fact that you've been doing this for a while now, what are the insurance challenges now that private practices are experiencing, and what does that look like in their practice?
Well, it's kind of frightening to see how much health insurance is changing. And it's really been that way since the early 90s when I started doing this work. First they introduced managed care, and then capitation, and then, most recently the Affordable Care Act. And I got to tell you, every day I have people calling me as new clients, telling me they have insurance and do I take insurance? And before I answer yes or no, I ask them, do you know what your coverage is? Because I have seen more and more and more people with 3, 4, 5, 6, and even as much as $7,000 deductible policies.
Wow.
And it's like not having insurance at all.
Wow.
Yeah. So the thing is, when a person has a really high deductible plan, it doesn't matter if you take their insurance or not, because they're going to be whether they're out of network with you or they stay in network, they're still going to be paying out of pocket. So I think a lot of clinicians don't realize that. So even the folks who are fortunate and they have the more comprehensive plans, they often have special rules when it comes to their mental health coverage, what will be covered and what won't. The insurance companies are constantly changing the rules. They're demanding more, paying less, and you're waiting a long time for your money. You're jumping through hoops in addition to the time you spend face-to-face with clients. And if you really look at the hourly rate, if you really put it on paper, sometimes it's hardly worth the effort. So the biggest challenges, however, I see aren't really coming from the insurance company. The challenges that I see for the people I coach are that the challenges come from within the clinician and how we think. I see a lot of folks who have a scarcity mindset, that there aren't going to be enough clients, and that there's so many providers in my town. What am I going to do? That real fear, that paralyzing fear that comes from that mindset. I see an overall lack of confidence in what they have to offer being valuable enough for someone to choose to pay privately. The assumptions made on the part of the clinician that I can't be private pay because that person's not going to pay for what I have to offer. They also, a lot of folks have a belief that they need to be everything to everybody. So they put themselves out there as a generalist because they're trying to fill their book, and they don't want to miss any potential clients, but then they end up hating what they do or feeling resentful or overwhelmed because their books are filled with people that they don't really specialize in, and they feel like they're working an agency again where they just open up their book and they see whoever they're told to see. There are fears that they won't be able to get enough clients to stay in business. That's a true fear for a lot of clinicians, and it breaks my heart because I don't think we need to have that fear. If you have the right skills, you don't have to have that fear. It's not knowing how to get those clients and keep the referrals coming, not just now, but knowing that for the life of my practice, I'm going to know what to do when I need clients. And then oftentimes clinicians feel really awful about the idea of sales and marketing. Is it going to be professional? Is it going to be ethical? I don't want to be a salesperson. I just want to be that person who sits back and sees clients. And that's all fine and good, but when you're in business for yourself, you have to wear the sales hat or you have to hire somebody to do it. And that's the only way it works. Unless you want to stay tethered to an insurance company who's going to fill your book, but where you're going to make a third to a half of what you could make privately. So there are those fears. They don't know like how to do it, who to call, what strategies to use. No, not even knowing where to start. And then really believing that they can't have a successful private practice unless they rely on insurance reimbursement and referrals. That belief that I can't make it without the insurance companies. So those are the things that I'm surprised to see, but have seen it so many times now that it doesn't surprise me anymore. But that's why I do what I do.
Oh, absolutely. Oh my gosh. You hit on so many wonderful points just now. I especially resonate with the concept that people think that they've got this insurance and everything is going to be okay, but it's a matter of understanding the insurance that they have. And so many times the clinicians have the deck stacked against them from the get-go, or so they perceive anyway, that the deck is stacked against them because somebody calls and wants to know if you're going to accept their insurance, but the client doesn't even really know what kind of insurance that they have, to the level of understanding that they would have to pay out of pocket anyway. So let's get that off of the table and set the focus and the strategy completely different from there. And that makes perfect sense. And especially how you had talked about how they feel like they're tethered to the insurance because of this fear that the rest of the economy out there is operating under a different system, and they feel like they're just this lone survivor trying to maybe have the gumption to take a different approach when that's actually not the case, correct?
Correct. And especially when you really sit back and think about that, these people are spending $7 for a cup of coffee at Starbucks. They're spending $25 for lunch at Applebee's. They're paying $80 for a massage on Saturday morning or to get their nails filled. We should not, I think it's insulting for us to assume what people will spend their money on. People find money for that which is important to them. And that's the truth. You can drive around any neighborhood, and you're going to find a satellite dish on somebody's roof because that's important to them. You're going to go up to my sewing room and find a $5,000 sewing machine because that was important to me. You're going to find money for things that are important to you. And for us to assume that a client isn't going to pay, I think shortchanges us and shortchanges the client. And it also plays into the client's misperception that just because I have insurance, I can find the right provider. Clients, if they limit themselves, if the first question out of their mouth is, do you take my insurance? I always come back with, well, before we even talk about that, can you just give me a brief idea of what you're looking for in counseling so I make sure I'm the right person for you? So I don't want I want to pull the client back from that belief that I can only use this card and hope to God you're the right person for me. No, let's have a conversation. Find out what you need, what you want, and if we're a good fit. And then after that, we can talk about the business end of it. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, I'm going to give you a referral to someone that maybe it will work better with.
Absolutely. And the thing that really stands out for me as I listen to you talk about that is, is this pigeonholed belief about where you have to operate from, and from the client's perspective as well, like you had said, that they've got this card and it's got to be used someplace and you got to hope to God that you've got the right person. But on the perspective of the practitioner, the fact that you folks spend so much of your life in education to be able to acquire the skills that are needed to pull somebody out of the deepest, darkest points of their life, and bring them back into the light, into a place of wholeness. It makes me absolutely crazy to think that any of you would accept anything less than full payment for everything that you do, for how much of your lives that you give to help make someone else into everything that they were meant to be. Mm-hmm. So why should you accept anything less than the best for that?
Mm-hmm. If you sit down and you talk about value, when you think about value, and think about the service that you provide as a clinician. Because sometimes we lose sight of that because we've been used and abused for a long time, or we just don't think about it anymore. We're so focused on the client, we don't think about us. But if you think about the financial, emotional, physical, and spiritual benefits that we provide when we're working with the right clients, when we're a good match, it is, you can't put a value on it. It's invaluable. When you're saving lives, saving marriages, saving families, helping people through the darkest times of their lives, helping them when they're so ill, getting them connected with the right people to get the right help. I mean, the work we do is really important and it's really needed. And I hope that anyone listening to this, any clinician listening to this, will sit back and really reflect on that, because that is where you're going to determine what your value is. That is how you're going to gain the confidence to say, this is my fee. You probably don't argue with your dentist when he or she tells you how much it is once you got your tooth filled. You probably don't get the chance to argue with the person in the grocery line when you put all the groceries and they tell you it's $200 and you say, well, I don't really have that this week. Will you take $150? They're not going to do that. And so, I just want the people who are listening to this with us to really think about that, because knowing your value is going to be incredibly crucial to you being able to put out your worth to people so they can determine for themselves if you are an investable opportunity for them.
That's such an excellent point, and I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I want to transition a little bit now. We're so grateful that someone like you has gone before us and figured out a way to make this into a sustainable and profitable business for these private practice owners. So can you share with us just a little bit about what it is that you do to help private practices overcome this?
Sure. After many, many years of coaching mental health professionals individually into private practice, which I still do some of, in 2014, I started something called the Influential Insider Circle. And it's called the IIC, I call it. And the IIC is the world's first social learning platform for mental health professionals in private practice. I was passionate about putting together something where like-minded professionals could come together and just work on building their practices in the way they wanted to see them, to have the freedom that they described, and to be able to come for support and mentoring and skills and all of that stuff. So I wanted to put that all together for them, and I did. And this group, the IIC, has a very active Facebook community. It's a private community where we come together to support each other. I'm always answering questions on there. People put things up and look for feedback from their colleagues, and it's really great. I love the people in my group. They're loving, caring people, and it's fantastic. So there's that Facebook community. There's that training, the learning platform with trainings in it. And then every week I do a group coaching call where people can get on the call. I usually do a little bit of a training, and then I open it up for questions about anything private practice. And now we're talking not just the topic of the day, or, how do I get more clients, or how do I do this or that, but also talking about how you feel about your private practice. Are you scared? Are you ashamed to ask for money? Is your confidence not quite where it should be? What are the negative mindsets that you have that are affecting you and your business? We try to get into all that kind of thing, and we do that on Thursdays, usually at noon. So it's really about all the aspects of getting involved more in getting more clients for private practice, and so a person can get what they wanted out of the practice to begin with. I know when I first started out, I was a single mom, so I needed flexibility of my time. I needed to be able to put an X through my day or my book if I needed to. I needed to make good money in order to pay the mortgage and pay everything I needed to pay with one income. And everybody's got something different that they want to get out of their private practice. They want to maybe be able to do the work they were never allowed to do in agency, or they want to be able to work with a population they were never able to when they were working at a hospital. And so this is about getting back to that freedom that you defined for yourself. And for some people, that means 100% private pay, private practice. And for other people, it's a hybrid of a mix of private pay and some insurance. And then other people are going to want to cling to that insurance. But what I try to help them do is to understand what's happening so that they can make better decisions about the panels they choose to be on, so they can maintain maximum autonomy, even if they are going to be working with insurance companies.
You know, I love the fact that you're able to help people regardless of where they're at in their journey. And I think that that's so important. Can you share with us just a little bit about the differences that the IIC has made in the lives of these private practice owners?
Yes, because I'm very thrilled and I'm very humbled at the same time. So many of the members talk about how the IIC and membership in the IIC has really changed their lives, that it's increased their confidence in themselves, in their businesses, in their ability to support their families, in their ability to do the work they want to do. They're seeing their businesses change and evolve. They're expanding their reach, determining that they can work with other people or work with more people or work with people differently, even taking on new streams of income. It just allows each of them to kind of stay connected to their dream of having a private practice and being that entrepreneur, because they're working on it every week, whether it's in the Facebook group or whether they're on the call on Thursday or if they're listening to a replay later on. It's kind of keeping them attached to their plans for the future with regard to their practice. And that makes all the difference in the world.
And that's evident. You can hear the passion in your voice when you talk about the effect that you've had on the lives of so many private practice owners. So let me ask you, Deb, what's next for you?
Well, I'm really excited to say that the IIC is going strong. We've got a nice big membership, and I'm looking forward to new people all the time. It's so great to welcome new people every week, and I love that. So I look forward to that growing. And also, right after the first of the year, I'm going to be releasing my newest and I think most exciting coaching program yet. And it is called The Path to Success in Your Private Pay Practice. It is an exclusive, comprehensive training and mentoring experience. It's both. And it's for mental health professionals who are really, really ready now to build their private pay, private practices. It's not for everybody. It's for people who really want to take action and to have the skills and the accountability and the mentoring that they're going to need so that they can fill their book now and for the life of their practice. So that's what I've got coming now. And I think it's going to be a really great place for people to be who are finally to the point where they say, okay, enough is enough. I'm going to get serious about this and I'm going to get involved in this. And the thing I love about the program is that it's not just like here's the video, here you can watch it and good luck to you. It's got video trainings, but in addition to that, I guide you through the path and you have everything that you need in order to do it. And we do it together along the way. One example of that is you identifying, 5 gatekeepers in your community, and we're going to write the letters and we're going to send them out. We're going to get you started so that people are actually putting this stuff into play. And I make them part of the IIC because I want them to be part of a group that can support them through this and that they can turn to, and they can really make this an experience that's going to be lasting. It's not going to go away in a couple of weeks. I keep people working at this with me for a minimum of 6 months. So it's a real nice experience. And when they're done, they will have everything that they need to know that no matter what in the future, that they can bring in more clients when they need them.
Oh, that's amazing. That is just fantastic. Offering the information to people is incredibly valuable in and of itself. But
Sure.
The fact that you kind of guide them through that process and they have a community of people, of their peers that they can turn to with questions and feedback and encouragement and motivation, and then coupled with the fact that you guide them on this journey over 6 months, that it breaks down those barriers and some of those insecurities that people are feeling, and really gives them that strong foothold to take their private practice, their business, into their own hands with this sense of motivation and strength and confidence to kind of forge forward and make a difference in the lives of so many people out there now who need help. So kudos to you. I cannot commend you enough for that. You've got an amazing offer that we talked about just at the beginning of the broadcast. Can you remind folks what your giveaway is and tell us a little bit about what they can expect from that?
Sure. I think a good way for people to start, just to get a kind of an overview of the whole idea of private pay, private practice, can be found in a free training that I did. It's called The Essentials of Private Pay: Simple Proven Strategies to Bring You More Self-Pay Clients. And it's a video training. It's a online training that you can just click on the link, or you can go to www.rapid-referrals.com/private-pay, all one word, and you'll be able to get to that training and sign up for it. I think it will be helpful. It talks about the common myths. It talks about ways to overcome the self-limiting beliefs, and also how to talk to people about private pay, how to talk to yourself about private pay so you can be okay with it. I just think it has those essential pieces that really have the groundwork. And then from there, folks will be on my mailing list. So as this other program unfolds, I'm happy to provide them with information for that as well.
Fantastic. Well, Deb, I cannot thank you enough for being with us today. You've been such a sense of inspiration, and we just have loved having you. Where can folks go to reach you if they have any questions?
I think probably the best thing they could do would be to go to that rapidreferrals.com/private-pay and to get the information. And also there you will find out more about the IIC. And I believe there is a link right there so that they can become involved in the IIC. And if they have any other questions, they can contact us at drlegge@gmail.com.
Fantastic. Thank you again, Deb. It's been a pleasure having you with us today, and we look forward to connecting with you again soon.
Thanks so much. This was great, Lisa. I always love talking to you, so this has been fantastic.